Ahoy there, YouTubers! Welcome to episode number 18. Wow, 18 already. So yeah, this will be the grand finale of my winter sessions at Diggers now. It's February the 15th, I think it is now. So it's a Friday, just finished work. Rods are already out behind me. For those of you who follow me, you'll see that in the week I came this week on Monday and broke my PB, had a 30-pounder out of here, which was great because you know, I've worked really hard on this place for the last 2 years to try and get into the bigger fish, and yeah, on an overnight it just kind of happened. So tell you a little bit about what happened later on. So for this one, I am in a swim known as Tyler's Bay, and I'm fishing on Max's Island. I'll try and put a map up later on so you can see where it is and whatnot. It's kind of like a bay right on the back of the main lake. Decided on this swim. Number one, this is where I had the 30 from in the week, and number two, this area for some reason seems to hold fish all the time. So I've seen 2 shows today already. I've probably been here for about an hour or something like that, just getting all the kit out. But as I was sort of like just barrowing the burrow over the little bridge over here, this little bridge behind me you walk across to get onto this island, saw one fish show right down the back channel, which is where I had that 30, and I saw another one show just over the other side over there. So there's fish in this area, which is ideal. It's right on the back of the car park. Don't need to go too far, which is really good because I really couldn't be bothered. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll show you where everything's set up in a minute. Everything is already out and fishing. I decided to get myself sorted first, get all my baiting up done and all the rest of it, so I can just kind of like chill out a little bit. So yeah, this will be the last one of the winter here. Unfortunately, my ticket doesn't run out until March, but next weekend I'm going to Blackpool with the missus, and then after that there are no more weekends. Like I think Thursday is the 28th, and then we're into March, so that's the end of the ticket. So it's been a lot of fun, but yeah, hopefully for this last one we can do something before I start going back to the reservoirs. So yeah, until then I'll show you where everything's fishing, and we'll see what we can do. Okay then, so rod wise, my left hand rod is fishing right over here against that old sort of like reed bed over there, sort of like probably about half a rod length off of it. It's only about 4.5 wraps, and I've just got a solid bag. I've got a solid bag on every one. That's what I had the 30 on this week, so I know solid bags work quite well in here, and obviously if you follow my videos you'll see that, like, you know, I use a solid bag all the time in here anyway. So that's what I've got, and that's on a yellow pop-up. So the middle rod is right over there, right down into the channel. It's 11.5 wraps down there, and yeah, it's quite a hard cast because you've got like this overhanging tree, so you've really got to sort of punch it out there to avoid getting caught in the tree there. But that one went down pretty well. It always seems to be fish holding up around there. I've had lots of fish out of there, so that's what I've gone for. That is where I had the 30 as well. So yeah, that's where I've put one. Hooked many fish from that area before. And then my right hand rod is straight out in front of me in between the gap of these trees. If you can see that properly on the camera, it's probably about half a rod length off of the bank, and that's where I sort of like saw a fish sort of like top earlier when I went round, because you can walk round to go and do your baiting up. I did see, like, as I was walking round there, I was just sort of like hand feeding the boilies in that I've got with me, and I could just see like loads of like clouding, like all these like dead leaves started coming up from the bottom. So I was like, oh, ideal. So yeah, that's where I've put one there as well. So that's all 3 rods. It's a nice little island, this one. I'll just show you quickly. So you've got a little bridge here that comes across. That's kind of like your access point, and then round there is into the sort of like main car park. You've got this little channel here as well underneath. So maybe I may move the rods around during the session, but you get this nice little island all to yourself, and that's what I really like about this swim. It's kind of like off the main complex a little bit, because it is due to get really busy this weekend. Because I've had that 30, Ben put the pictures on his Facebook page, and when I looked yesterday there was 4 spaces left, so that's obviously bringing in the other anglers. So yeah, but I'm glad to be on this spot for definite. That fish is still over there, I can see it, just sort of like see the vortexes. They are definitely 100% in here. It just depends on whether or not we're going to get a bite or not, but I don't seem to get the bites till later, just after dark, so maybe, you never know, but we'll sit back and see what happens. Right then, so that's everything out and showing you everything that you need to see really. Seen lots of activity on the water so far. Just coming up for 4 o'clock, so I've been here for a couple of hours now. But I've seen like lots of fizzing and bubbling like all around the place, not just on my spots, like everywhere. So things are looking quite good at the moment. So one thing I wanted to do was I was just going to run through some tips really of just what I do when I come here, because it is quite a tricky water, and I get a lot of questions from people saying, you know, what do you use here, where do you go when this happens, and what do you do? And people just don't know where to start with this place. So I'm going to run through my 5 top tips now of what I personally do. Doesn't mean to say they're right, but these are things that I would do in this situation, and how I've gone about tackling this tricky little venue for the last 2 years. So tip number 1 would be location. I learnt this really early on with this place. A lot of people talk about location, and they say it's the most important thing, and it absolutely is, especially with a fishery like this. This place is all islands, bays and channels, cut throughs. Everything's really shallow. So my first tip would be use your eyes and your ears, and locate the fish before you even think about starting a session here. I see so many people come here and they go, oh, fish came out of, I don't know, Brick Point. Brick Point's a popular swim here, so they go straight to Brick Point without even looking at anything else. My tip would be to walk around the lake, try and stay away from the water, try and keep as low as you can, take your Polaroids with you. Your Polaroids are probably the most important bit of kit that you've got when it comes to lakes like this, because you get to see stuff that you can't see just with your normal eyes. With a set of Polaroids, you can see the weed in the margins, you can see the clouding of the water and stuff like that. So all these little telltale signs, even if you don't see a fish, you know, that will give you an indication to whether or not they're there or not. And if they're not in front of you, you're definitely not going to catch them here. So yeah, definitely my first tip would be locating fish and looking for the telltale signs that they're there. Tip number 2. Tip number 2 would be to try and stay as quiet as you can. This venue is a very shallow lake, and it's very small and intricate, and you know, some of the channels here are sort of like, you know, I mean, in places it's like sort of like, you know, 20 foot wide. So being quiet is another major benefit to catching fish here. and that goes for any time of the day. Spodding and spomming and stuff like that, you don't really need to do it here, purely because it's such a small lake. You know, everything is within catapult range. So if you're going to do that kind of thing, I would recommend a catapult, unless you're using a like a particle or something like that. But it's not something that I really do in here. So that would be my second tip. Just little things. Set your bivvy back away from the water. You know, try and give yourself as much cover as you can. In these swims, they're designed so you've got plenty of cover. So there's lots of trees and bushes and things like that. So if you can, try and position yourself well out the way, well out of sight, and yeah, just try and be as quiet as you can on the bank, because all these little things do make a difference to a venue like this. Tip number 3 that I would come up with for this place would be bait application and line lay. So as I previously discussed a minute ago, this place is quite a shallow lake. It's probably 6 foot at the absolute maximum here, and everywhere else is kind of like your 4 or 5 foot mark, 3 in places. So you really need to think about your line lay in this place. I found that really early on as well. You know, try and keep your lines as low to the deck as you can. That's what I personally do anyway. I use a back lead. I do like to fish kind of like a tighter line if I can, just for the purposes of bite indication. But I always use a back lead in here, because it just keeps everything down and out of the way. I see a lot of people come here, you know, they'll see what the guys do on the telly, on YouTube or whatever. You know, they'll fish rods up in the air, or they'll fish them, you know, bowstring tight to where they're fishing. And the fish will just pick up. They do pick up on it. So line lay's a real factor in here for me personally, anyway. So I like to keep everything down and out of the way. So that's one aspect of it. I can't remember what the other one was now. Line lay and bait application. So bait application wise, depending on the time of year here, depends on how much bait you put in. I know that's pretty much the same as everywhere, but try something a little bit different. I try to use halves and whole boilies. Sometimes I use different size boilies, like go for a 10mm or a 12mm. I like to use a 12mm hook bait in here, because I find that I do quite well on the smaller baits. But just mix and match everything. Try and do something. I always say, like, try and do something that the fish don't see every day. People just throw 15mm in here like crazy. They see it all the time. So eventually they're gonna get used to seeing a 15mm boilie. Other baits work very well in here as well. Pellet is a big one. Very underused in here, but I've had some really good success on it. Don't just use it for my solid bags. In the summertime, then I go over to using the pellet, because it's definitely a good bait to use in here. Anything else like sweet corn or hemp, all those kind of baits, you can get away with using it in here. There's not that many silvers in here. There's no bream in here or anything like that, so you can, you know, really home in on using sort of like the smaller particle baits as well. But a boilie wise, again, depending on the time of year, fish meals work well in here, as do nut based, seed based sort of like sort of boilies. At the moment I'm just using the life system just because of the time of year, but I use the life system all year round. Anything that's going to go through the fish really and keep them grubbing around and keep them feeding, but a quality bait is always good. So I tend to use, like, I use a lot of CC Moore stuff. I use stickies and things like that. Just good reliable baits. Tip number 4: don't ignore the margins in here. I see a lot of guys come here and they will literally cast to the horizon, because that's where they think the fish are. it couldn't be further from the truth here. I've caught fish literally underneath the rod tips. They will come right in close to you. You'll never know that they were even there, you know, you're just wasting your time pumping rods out into the middle of the lake. So in the summer here, the margins are 100% the way ahead in my view. I've seen so many fish come out of them, it's unreal. I've seen the big 30s come out of the margins. You know, it's just literally swinging underneath the rod tip, because that's all this place is everything is an underarm swing pretty much. So don't ignore the margins in here. They can be very prolific during the periods of spring and summer for definite. This time of year not so much, but you still will get them coming into the margins, because that's predominantly where the food is. Either that, or they're digging around in the silt for the bloodworm. So yeah, don't ignore the margins. My fifth and final tip would be, if you do blank here, do not get disheartened. I've done a lot of blanking here. Like I said, it isn't an easy water. I know that he's put another 30 fish in here since he drained Percy's about 3 weeks ago. Up until then, I think there was about 180 fish in here. So now there's 210 listed. So yeah, but it is tricky water. It can be difficult. So if you do blank, don't ever get disheartened by it. Even if you do see fish in front of you, like I've got now, there's no guarantee you're going to catch them. It's just the case of you know, being patient and waiting, and eventually you will get the results. But don't get disheartened if you do blank. Like I said, I have blanked here quite a lot, but I have also caught quite a lot of fish as well. So it is one of those, you know, waters where, you know, it only takes one bite really. Yeah, so don't ever get disheartened if you blank. You have to keep going, same as anything, you know, just keep your head up, keep your chin up, and just keep persisting with it. So those are my 5 tips for Snails Lake diggers. I hope that that's answered some of the questions that I was getting, because I get quite a lot of private messages asking me all kind of questions from, like, you know, everything that I've covered basically, and what they would do if they were to come to a session. Like someone said to me a couple of days on YouTube, I don't like the look of snails because you know, the open water space isn't like it is in Percy's. I wouldn't be put off by something like that, you know. At the end of the day, you're here to catch fish. If you're willing to put the effort in, Percy's is exactly the same as what this water is, you know. The only difference is it's a bit more open water, but this one is a little bit more challenging. I will admit that, but you know, it is what it is. And if you're willing to put the time and the effort in, the rewards are definitely there. Like I said, I've worked on this place for quite some time now, and I've only just had my first 30 out of it. So I've come close to it. I've had a 27 before that, so you know, it is what it is. But yeah, the big fish don't come out that often, but when they do, you know, they do. And I was as surprised as anyone else to have that 30 like I did. I knew that there were fish in the area when I turned up, and I could see you know, the vortex in that back bay on the Monday night that I got here. So I knew there was fish in there, but I didn't know it was a 30. And then, like, you know, a few hours passed, and by 7 o'clock that was it was gone. So it just goes to show you really that, you know, if you keep persisting with something, you will get the results. So yeah, anyway, I hope that's helped some of you. If you are planning a trip here, it's a quality little fishery, very well run, and yeah, all the bailiffs and all the staff that work here who come round, you know, they're very helpful. If you ever ask them any questions about this place, nobody holds back any information. They'll tell you where everything is that you need to know in regards to like sort of like hard spots, you know, hot spots and things like that. So definitely worth a trip if you're planning on it. Yeah, as I said, my winter ticket is now running out, so I will be moving off of here because I've just about done enough. It's time for me to go somewhere else. I'm going back to the Southwest Lakes Trust again, and I'm going to be doing the all-water ticket. So going to be going to all sorts of different venues. But yeah, I would highly recommend this one if you plan a trip. Well, good morning, YouTubers. So unfortunately didn't have a bite yesterday after seeing a few shows and all the rest of it that I saw yesterday. Saw quite a lot of bubbling and fizzling going on, but after about 8 o'clock everything kind of went a bit flat calm like it is now, and nothing has happened whatsoever. I think I didn't even have a bleep last night, nothing that woke me up anyway. So I've just had a recast this morning. I did see a fish show this morning at the other end of like the lake, which is kind of like over that way. So I have moved my rod that was right out in front of me over there, and I've just moved it over to the corner. So yeah, just put a couple of boilies around it just to see if I can pick one up, really, just trying different things. But at the moment pretty quiet, so I'm going to kick back for the morning. I've done everything I need to do now, put a couple of fresh bags out there, leave those out all day now, probably till about 5-6 o'clock tonight, till the night, just before dark, and see what happens. There's definitely still fish in here, so that's positive. It's just a case of whether or not they're going to feed, I guess. The water temperature is still quite low. It's only probably about 6 degrees, something like that. But yeah, we'll persist anyway, and do what we can do. But at the moment, pretty quiet. Hi guys. Bit of a quiet day for me today. Not a lot of footage whatsoever, mainly because not a lot has happened. All behind me, all pretty quiet all day. So I've seen one show today. That was when my mate Paul was here earlier on. He'll be watching. Hello, Paul. So yeah, that's about it really. Yeah, pretty quiet. I haven't really seen anything at all. Nothing like I saw yesterday. No bubbling or fizzing. Saw a show earlier, as I said, and one this morning, but they're still here. They're just not feeding. So nothing to really report. So yeah, pretty quiet. So going into the last night now. Doesn't look like it, but light is starting to fade. It's probably about 5, coming on for 5:30 now. So a little bit lighter in the evenings, which is good now. Hopefully the summer will roll on quicker than quicker than you know it. It's already getting lighter day by day, so that's all good. So yeah, well, I can't really do a lot else. I've not put any more bait out because I haven't seen any more fish sort of like feeding or any kind of signs. So I've just left everything as it is, and I'm going to leave everything as it is probably until the morning, and then reassess it then if I don't get another bite. But until then, I'm pretty confident that everything's still fishing, everything is where it needs to be. It's just a case of sucking it and see. A bit of a wait. I have finally got one. The time now is about 11:30. Just sort of like dozing off in the bag. The middle rod toned off with a 1-toner. Not the biggest fish in the world. I've got the feeling this is one of the stockies out of Percy's. This one went £18. Lively fish. Took me about 20 minutes to get her in. Really went for it. But look at that. Lovely fish. Yeah, £18 on the nose, that one. So very, very happy. Nice way to sign off if I don't get anything else this session. Yeah, solid bag again, middle rod right up in the channel. There you go. Lovely. Brilliant. Lovely way to sign off. At least it's not a blank. So the persistence has paid off. Yeah, I'm happy. Right, I'm going to get this fish back and I'm going to get back to bed. Good morning, YouTubers. So, just the one fish last night. I've just woken up, cup of tea in hand. Had a couple more bleeps last night, but nothing else has sort of like happened. No runs or anything like that. So I'm just going to leave everything out. After that fish last night, I managed to get everything recast back out onto the spots and ready to go again. So everything's back out on the money. That's a good thing about wrapping up, is you can sort of like just get it straight back out without the worrying of like hitting trees and snagging up and stuff like that. So yeah, there's definitely still fish in the area. I've seen quite a lot of activity on the water this morning. There is a lot of pike chasing like roach around, but I have seen a couple of carp this morning here, so fingers crossed I can nick another one before I go. I'm going to leave at about 4 o'clock today, so got the afternoon to go yet, or the rest of the morning and the afternoon. So we'll see what happens, but for now I'm just going to leave everything out. I'm not going to put any more bait in either, because all I'm going to do is minimise my chances of hooking one at this time of day. So yep, I'm going to leave it there, and if anything happens, you'll see it. Hello YouTubing. So I got so carried away with packing up that I actually forgot to film the outro to my video. So we didn't have any more fish in the end. Nothing else came about all day long, so we stayed till about 3 o'clock and then went home. So as you can see behind me, this is Thatcher, my dog. So he's happy that I'm home. I'm not too sure when I'll be out again. Probably be somewhere on the Southwest Lakes Trust. So that's the end of the winter ticket for me at Diggers. I won't be doing any more fishing there for quite a while now. But for those of you who do follow me quite a lot, in May I have just booked up a 6-day session at the festival fishery at Glastonbury, so or Street. So that's going to be quite good fun. Quite looking forward to that one. So yeah, so that's one for the future. However, I'm not too sure where my next vlog will be. I can imagine it will be a reservoir of some kind. So I will leave it there. Tight lines. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you for all your support as always, and I will catch you in the next video. Tight lines, guys. See you later.